Welcome to Down and Out, but Statistically Average podcast, hosted by two friends who are really mad sports fans. We're talking about lives, our frustrations, the everyday content of our lives. It's chaotic, but we're going to make it fun for you. We're doing this one episode at a time. I'm Connor. I'm a lifelong Notre Dame football fanatic and someone who has way too strong of opinions on this team, whether anybody has asked for them or not. And alongside me is Nate. He's a Texas Rangers loyalist, and he's a big Texas Rangers fan, someone who usually has strong opinions as well, but he's likely to keep us more grounded as he is the more informed and mature one here. On this show, we're going to talk about the teams we love, the games that ruin our weekends, work, relationship, culture, everything. Who knows? We'll see where it goes. We're not any type of analysts. We're not really professional people at all. We're just two friends with microphones, perspectives, and questionable humor here. So this is Down and Out, but Statistically Average, and we are excited to get into the show today. So welcome to episode 12 on the podcast. And before we get started and talking about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and in that segment, Nate, what's up, my brother? How you doing?
What's going on, Connor? And first of all, happy 1 year since starting this podcast. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. Absolutely. You know, I need to get on that upload schedule. But dude, it is a good day. We've got lots to go over, lots to talk about. But man, especially with that shirt you've been sporting, this new one, you're gonna have to kick us off and talk us through what's been going on with those Irish. They're special, aren't they?
Well, you know, as I was parading before in the pregame show here with my buddy, there is a new trend of the Notre Dame football program touching into the state of Florida, my home state. I'm a Florida grown man, and we are taking the best recruits away from Florida State, and Miami's getting some of them, but we're really repping the state. So now there's a new trend in Irish Nation called Florida Dame, baby. Florida Dame. Taking over the state, one recruit at a time.
What?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, how did that come about? Why is that a thing?
Well, so it really got its claim to fame recently with a recent commitment. I think I mentioned to you, a really highly rated wide receiver out of Fort Lauderdale, and he committed, and him and his father were wearing the shirt. So his father's name is Julius Jones. He was a running back for Notre Dame back in 2003, played for the Cowboys, had a great career. His son, Julius Jones Jr., is a really highly rated wide receiver, and we stole him from Miami and Florida. And so both of them were actually wearing this shirt on the commitment, and they did like a live commitment out in Fort Lauderdale. So this is the new thing, Florida Dame, baby. So
I love that is the most Florida man kind of thing ever, and
yes,
it's Notre Dame flavored. So like,
and it's obnoxious.
It's the best of both worlds. Like,
it's the most obnoxious fandom, but we know it. You know,
it's like chicken and waffles, but for your sports interests. It's great.
That's right. Awesome, man. Well, speaking of the Florida connections and just the Notre Dame recruiting world,
I was going to say,
let's talk about the last 2 weeks since the last podcast. Really, the biggest story to come out is Notre Dame's media tour we're doing in New York City. For context for some listeners, if you're not aware, really every summer around this time, all the teams in the whole country, whether you're in the Big Ten, the SEC, whether you're in the ACC, you're usually doing some sort of conference media day where all the players and the coaches go and they meet up and they do interviews and things like that and talk about the summer and what their expectations are for the team. And it's just something for the fans to, you know, kind of grab onto where you're in the dulls of the summer for college football. Now, so Notre Dame's not in a conference. I know you know that. And listeners, I know you guys know that by now. So what we do is we go to New York City and go on like a lot of the big shows. And it's one of those things, part of the fandom, where I'm like, it's a little much, you know, but I mean, I'm going to support it just to support it. But it's, you know, I kind of want to roast you a little bit, you know, you're a little glitz and glamour. Like there was this video recently that came out and they were at the New York Stock Exchange. I think it was like 2-3 days ago. And they like did the starting bell or whatever and did the hammer and all that. Like,
of course. Yeah.
Like, you know, like the glitz and glamour, you know, the pomp and circumstance, you know, we're Notre Dame, you know, that kind of thing.
That is on brand. Okay. You can't have Notre Dame fighting Irish without a little bit of whimsy.
It's on brand. And the thing is the roots of it are pure. You know, so Newt Rockne back in the 30s, before there was like obviously social media and all this stuff, like that's what you had to do for a small little Catholic school in nowhere, Indiana. Like, he would take the team out to New York because he had built connections through radio and broadcast. And like, he was one of the first really big media mogul kind of like marketers of the sport, New Rockne. So he took the whole team out there, and it kind of has its lineage to that. So ever since then, there's been a Notre Dame New York connection, really strong one actually. And so it's just part of that lineage continuing, but it's kind of funny each year seeing it. Like they're on Good Morning America, CBS News, Good Morning Football, every Good Morning and Good Night show you can think of, they're on.
I was actually doing some
good.
pre-research, and I was hearing about this. Yeah, this media blitz that
Media
y'all
blitz.
were on. So I was definitely curious about what direction you're going to take on that. Yeah.
Well, and really, I think it's mainly from Marcus Freeman's perspective, as of course he's out there and he's kind of leading the charge in terms of what sort of rhetoric and what is the messaging we're going to put out, prior to the season occurring. And he's sort of reinforcing, and the questions, some of them are kind of like leading questions. So he kind of knows that going in. Really, I mean, I've told you about the mantra going into the season, leave no doubt, because of being left out of the playoff, leaving your destiny in the judges' hands last year and being left out. And so he's really said, from a messaging perspective, it's twofold for the team, and then also just how to, motivate them, but also, how can you communicate to the public that, like, we're not going to be blamers. We're not going to blame others for we didn't take care of our business in those 2 games. So how do we take that and say, internally, how do we motivate the players to take that responsibility and not blame the circumstance? And so that's kind of like the mantra, is the core of it is that. It's just, listen, we got left out, but that was in our control. We lost 2 games. If we would have only lost 1 or lost none, we're in, no doubt. So kind of that same messaging has just been on repeat on these different shows. And that's really what the questioners are asking. Hey, you got left out. You got snubbed, this and things like that. And it's just, no, well, we're going to, we're going to leave no doubt this season. We have the roster to do it. It's just we have to coach them and get them there and take the onus.
Nobody wants to hear about a sports team that whines about technicalities. That's why soccer is the worst. And it's just, oh my God. And/or basketball. Sorry, I got to bag on basketball as well too. It's just, okay, everybody's falling down. Oh, it's another foul. Just get up and do something about it. Just, I don't know. Don't lay there. Just do something, please.
Well, it's interesting because, like, you look at the star quarterback, CJ Carr. So he's a second-year starter, going into second year starting. He's now front and center, right? So, like, the face of the program last year was Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, the 2 running backs I've told you about. Now this year, CJ Carr is being elevated to that. You're now the face, especially as the quarterback. You're really the face. And so when these interviewers are talking to him, he's really kind of becoming really the public face of the program for this year. And he's getting that, as I mentioned before, that legitimate national attention. I mean, he is all the betting odds favorites, whether you go to FanDuel or whatnot. He is either 1 or 2 in betting favorites to win the Heisman. And then that in turn causes the team either to be like 1, 2, or 3 in betting odds to win the national championship. And as you know, pretty much as if you have the best quarterback or one of the best quarterbacks in the country, the team kind of usually follows that. He's the most important player of the team, obviously.
And then it could also do some vice versa carrying maybe as well. Hey, listen, if people have more visibility on it and/or if they win a national championship, well, that's a little bit, going to put you a little bit ahead in the ranking, especially if things are a little bit close with somebody else. I think, star quarterback that carries a team to win it all, first time in a hot minute. I don't know. Yep. There's a pretty good chance of a lot of really good things happening this upcoming season, I'd say.
We'll see. And but that's definitely reflecting within the recruiting world. So recently we just added another highly rated defensive player. So in the 2027 recruiting class, we just landed Roman Igwe-Bikwe, another complicated name, but great talented player, 4-star player out of Chicago. So he's staying in the Midwest and he's remaining a part of the Notre Dame class. And that's really exciting. And then outside of that, I mean, the only kind of other thing that's been good as a fan perspective is they've teased the new uniforms for the Shamrock series, which is basically they do the series with one team they pick on the schedule and they wear like these like fancy uniforms. And a lot of times there's like a nod of the cap to like the history of whether it's that rivalry or those 2 teams or, the stadium venue they're playing in. So this time they're playing in Lambeau Field, home of, as you know, the Packers.
Yep.
And so their uniforms were pretty sick, actually. I might send you a picture of them.
All right.
And it's like a nod to the old Packers uniform, like Paul Hornung kind of era in the 1950s.
Kind of like retro in a sense.
Yeah, retro kind of look. So it's a kind of sick look. I know the Rangers have something similar to that.
Definitely.
So that was kind of sick. I'm like, those uniforms are sweet, bro. Those are nice. But really, I mean, the next thing we really have after this is fall camp. Fall camp starts in a couple weeks, and that's where you'll start getting more storylines and headlines about players to look out for, guys that are looking developing more than we thought, or some that maybe have regressed. Those kind of things, which I'll get into probably in the next podcast or a couple podcasts from now. So really, we're just excited as a fan base, waiting for them to play Wisconsin September 6th, 7:30 p.m. night game to start off the season.
Clear your calendars, boys.
Yes,
Yeah, make sure, dude. I got to make sure that I'm actually watching at least some of these games with you. Yeah, got to actually be contributing to this fandom, especially since you've been hyping up this season so freaking much. There's nothing to show for it yet, so I don't know. Is Connor all just talk, or is he just statistically average, ladies and gentlemen?
Both.
We'll stay tuned. We'll find out.
Definitely both. Well, that is, I've left no doubt in my segment here. Now, time to switch over to the Rangers and see what's going on in the Texas Rangers world. Take us away.
This world is, it is wild. Connor, I have something to report that I've never once been able to report in the entire history of the podcast. The Texas Rangers are in first place in the AL West division. Yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. We are 49 and 48. We're sitting on top of the American League West, which would be a really big deal if not for the fact that the AL West is just garbage. So let me give you the receipts. So we're leading our division with a .505 winning percentage, right? That is the worst record of any division leader in baseball right now. The Rays are leading the AL East at .583. We are leading ours at 1 game over 500. We have won 1 more game than the number that we've lost. We are riding a knife's edge. So, yeah, it's so bad that we're the only team in the AL West that's above 500. Everyone else, all of our rivals, have lost more games than they've won. The A's are 41 and 56. The Angels are 38 and 60. It's so bad. National writers are literally calling our division chaos and calling us improbably on top of it. That's literally, this is what I'm dealing with here. Okay. So I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. First is first. Yeah. Being on top is being on top. But here's the thing. If you're going to be at the top of a terrible division and you can't pull away, it means nothing except that you get to be eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. And if you want to know how the second half started, well, right after the All-Star break, which is this past week, Friday night, just last night, first game back from the All-Star break in Atlanta, we lost 15-1. Chris Sale, their starting pitcher, he threw 7 scoreless innings against us. That is the most runs we have allowed in a single game all season. And I didn't even watch it, and not just because it was 15-1 for a whole other reason that I'm going to get to in a minute. Okay. Because here's the thing. The way that we got to first place tells you everything that you need to know about where we stand right now, just, as the Texas Rangers. So let's go ahead. Let's rewind to the middle of June. Okay. We're at rock bottom. We had got swept by the Twins. We scored 2 and 3 runs in those games. We fell to 35 and 38 record. Corey Seeger was 0 for 27. In terms of a slump, the worst slump of his entire career. And then this team just flipped it. We swept the Blue Jays, which thank God they're terrible, but still a sweep is a sweep. I'm not going to look, 4 straight. We swept them. And on June 28th, we took first place from the Seattle Mariners, who were they're starting to fall apart. And then we held it going into the break. We won the series against the Angels. It was a little bit dicey. We won the series against the Astros, and we actually did it by capping it off with a walk-off hit on the final on Sunday. And so here's the stat that defines this team right now. We've had 17 come from behind wins this season. 17. With the 25th ranked offense in baseball, 25th out of 32nd. We are garbage offense, and we have had 17 come back from behind wins. So and here's the thing, it wasn't even magical. It wasn't extraordinary, but we did flip a deficit into a division lead right before the All-Star break. And honestly, it was pretty impressive to get to see it. I like to bag on things, but it warmed my cold little heart inside. It really did. Just a tiny bit. Okay. So I might ask, okay, is this team actually good, or is everyone else just bad? Honest answer, the offense says no. The fight says maybe. And we're going to hold that thought of, okay, is this team good or is everyone else just bad? We're just going to need to hold that thought because the tension is entirely going to lie in the second half of the season, okay? So one quick off-the-field drama, though, just because I need to rant about it. Just that's what I do here is I just, it's emotional catharsis, and I just like
that's why we started this
stuff.
thing. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, just being clear.
Just go.
So some off-the-field drama, and every Rangers fan listening can testify to this one. On Wednesday, so it was July the 15th, out of absolutely nowhere, effective immediately, the Rangers Sports Network announced that they were dropping their streaming platform, Victory Plus, and they were moving every single game to a brand new platform that no one has ever heard of, something called BZZR. And guess what the first ever BZZR broadcast was?
No
it was
idea.
that game last night, 15-1 loss.
Oh,
so
no.
So welcome aboard, everybody. Just welcome to BZZR. It's a great luck sign. Yes. So here's the thing. The stated reason is actually real. Victory Plus, they fell behind on rights payments or something like us. It was an insolvency issue. And it's not just us. The Anaheim Ducks, the hockey team, they moved to leave Victory Plus, the same week as well. And it's bleeding a bunch of partners across a lot of leagues. But here's the fan pain. BZZR doesn't have any smart TV apps. So there's no Roku, there's Samsung or LG, a variety of others. And they're saying that those are coming, quote, by September.
What?
That's the last month of the season. So it's like most of the second half, there's going to be an entire subsection of the Rangers fan base that literally can't watch Rangers games on their existing platforms. So yeah, of course. There's Apple TV and Fire TV apps, fine. But if you are locked in with your current plans, and or if you, like me, paid $150 for the annual Victory Plus subscription at the beginning of this year, specifically for Rangers access. I didn't care about the Dallas Stars or anything. All deference to them. They're great. And so is all the other weird stuff that's on there. All deference to that. I got it for the Rangers. And now I'm only getting about half my money's. Now I would have to pay for a whole other. Okay, so credit where it's due. Okay, fine. The membership is supposedly going to be transferring over to BZZR at no extra cost. I would like a refund, though, because this kind of you can't do this mid-season. This is just bad management, just overall. You need to find some sort of other way. Okay, all right. You should have picked a better one than Victory Plus in the first place, is what I'm saying. So, the Rangers say that they've quote, asked Victory Plus to handle refunds, quote, as requested and appropriate. As requested and appropriate is doing a lot of work in that sentence, and I intend to find out exactly what that means. So here's the bit that I find interesting in it. The chairman of Rangers Sports Media and Entertainment, it's this gentleman named Neil Liebman. He just so happens, per Dallas Morning News reporting, to be listed as director of BZZR. The team's own press release somehow didn't mention that he's on the board of directors, and when asked about it, a team spokesperson refused to comment. Interesting how that works. So that's great. We'll be exploring some folks on Reddit and their opinions for that, because that's what Reddit's for. Okay, so that was a lot. Rant over. Thank you for indulging me for just a moment or two. Let's get back to a little bit of the actual baseball. Okay, understand?
Let's do it.
I'm going to start with some pitching. Okay, so here's where we are here. Skip Schumacher and the front office, they're playing, I'll call it a high wire act right now. The starting rotation, the pitchers that come in, they pitch the majority of, the first 2/3 of the game, the first 6 innings. Our rotation has been a revolving door of injuries, which means that our bullpen, which as our typical intro is titled, we're known for our bullpen meltdowns. It's kind of a selling point with the Texas Rangers fandom. The bullpen has been asked to eat bigger and bigger chunks of later innings, high stress innings. So yeah, you think about that. Okay, more and more, just you're asking more and more of a bullpen that's, just prone to breaking down anyway. And that's not sustainable. So, you know what I'm saying? I'll just introduce you to the cast here. So we've got our Jacob deGrom. He's our ace. He's 7-5, 3.49 ERAs. He's fine. Okay. But here's the thing. We're all biting our nails because he's got some sort of, I don't know, my notes say mild glute strain. He skipped his last start before the break, and he is, quote, likely to go Monday against the White Sox, who are doing surprisingly well this season. Shout out to the White Sox.
I've seen that. I've seen that.
But here's the thing with us in our starting rotation, every DeGrom twinge or blink is an entire whole held breath for the entire DFW Metroplex. It's just like, oh, no. So we're just taking it day by day.
Don't get hurt.
Mackenzie Gore, he's our workhorse. We got him from the Nationals, back in January. He struck out a lot of batters. Here's the thing. His ERA is 4.63, which is not great. But let me tell you what he did do before the break. So DeGrom's start gets skipped because, DeGrom's got this, his butt is strained or something like that. And then Gore, here's what happens though. Gore was on only a few days of rest. Gore deliberately goes up to our manager, Skip Schumacher, and he goes, quote, "I want the ball." And he decides to go out and he gives us 4 innings of 1-run baseball, and we clinch first place at the break in that game.
Nice.
That's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff I want to be seeing so much of this team, and that's what our team is running on right now. So, there's good stuff. Okay, but then there's some less stuff. I mean, we've got Kumar Rocker. He's 4.17 ERA, and he's a rookie, and he's not a rookie. This is his 3rd season, and he's got flashy stuff, but he's got no command. He's not consistent at all, and he scares me every single time he goes out to pitch. Good for him, but he's the guy that more than anything else, he's so bad in the first inning that we've taken to regularly putting in a reliever to open the first inning of the game, and then he starts in the second inning because in second inning onwards, he is, for some reason, he's got a phenomenal ERA, but then his ERA for the first inning is it's between, I think, 7 and 9. He gives up a whole bajillion runs in the first inning, but then the rest of it, he's just like, oh, yeah. So I don't know what it is.
It sounds like that's kind of been part of the Rangers pitching as of late. It's just in the beginning, it's just
yeah.
But listen. Here's the thing with this is, where you guys are in your conference. I mean, it's a great place to be. I mean, I know what you said is all right, kind of the best of the worst. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's okay, you don't ideally want to be that, but I mean, listen. I mean, similarly, this is where Notre Dame is in the sense, you've had a roster that's been built. CJ Carr is stepping into a bigger role. Expectations are clearly on a high level now, right? They've changed. You've had that shift in that. The question is whether this team can handle the pressure, the biggest games, and turn actual promise into results. Speaking of teams turning expectations into results, let's bring it back to the Rangers. They're sitting, as I just mentioned, first at the top of the conference right now. So that's clearly that optimism that you had is sort of there. Now, Nate, how confident are you in this team that they can make a real postseason run?
It's here's our thing is that there's plenty more that can and should be said about there's plenty to be said about the pitching staff. However, the offense, that's where we need to actually be getting into it. Is this just, and it's the reason why we're only whatever it is, 49 and 48. We're that close because of our pitching, and our offense is slowly getting there. But here's the reality is that we are not touting a juggernaut 2023 offense right now. Here, our offense is more it's kind of like a working man blue collar roster that is hanging on to first place by its fingernails. So
wait, speaking of fingernails, was that your cat that just ran into the back of your...
don't worry about it. Yeah, it's just
For those listening on Spotify, Nate's cat just ran across the back and moved his whole Texas Rangers logo.
It's not a ghost, guys. It's just
it's nothing weird. It's just
a little
cat.
Demon cat. That's all it is. Yeah.
But continue.
But no, you're good. But so at this point, I have to commit a little bit of heresy. Corey Seeger, 10-year deal. $325 million for it.
Wow.
5th season of that deal. He is hitting 182. He's on the injured list for the 3rd time this season.
Wow.
It's his back, then a concussion from a collision at home plate, and now it's his back again. It's like an old man. He's only 32 years old or something. He's due back late July. So people have been trying to there have been rumors of the Yankees and stuff making inquiries about him, but the reality is everybody keeps saying that he's supposed to be coming into his own later in the season, and he's just supposed to be breaking out. But here's where we stand. This is my opinion. This is not analytic. When he's out, things tend to go better. The man is supposed to be the pillar of the offense. And I watched us take first place while he was on the injured list. We were sucking so bad right up until then. And then if he keeps floundering, we are going to have to start some conversations, even just for the sake of how much of our budget he's taking up and just not producing.
My thing is this: could you guys? I mean, this is sort of a like I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Like, could you guys just trade him, free up cap space, or free him, get the money, and go get a couple guys, one or two guys who could really like kind of add into that overall team and just bolster what you guys have, and maybe that could propel you into a postseason run rather than kind of holding on, like not cutting bait when you need to. Almost that's the way it's coming off to me.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
I think from a totally practical standpoint, yeah. I'm sure there's probably some contractual stuff that I'm not going to be accounting for, some sort of no trade or something kind of clause. But even just I'm just going to put that aside and just talk as a speculative, super fan that doesn't know anything. Is Corey Seeger, he's not producing, but he can under the right environment. I have no doubt about that. We might not be that environment. However, back in 2021, 2022, when Chris Young stepped up as the front office guy, our general manager and all of that, when Chris Young stepped up, he signed on two big guys for our hitting staff, and he established them as, quote, the two pillars of the Texas Rangers organization. Two pillars for the next, I don't know, I think he said 5 or 8 or 10 years or something. Two pillars. However, one of those pillars was Marcus Semien, and we traded him this past offseason. The other one is Corey Seeger. So he would need to take such a hit in terms of his image and his brand and all of the morale, not to mention all of the money. We would not only need to find someone with interest in Corey Seeger, but also someone willing to take on the remainder of his contract, which is, again, that's whatever, there's $160-something million or something like that, a little bit more, which is a ton of money, especially for someone that has suddenly just been kind of just slowly going down for the past about 2.5 seasons, ever since his 2023 World Series MVP run. So here's where I think we're going to stand is he is tradable. He does produce. He could. I don't have confidence that he's going to be developed and really encouraged properly in the current environment. I would much rather we trade him out and get some older players with a lot more consistency to really whip into shape these younger rookies, these Wyatt Langfords, these Josh Youngs that are just starting to come into their own. They're hitting 280, 290 or above. They've got OPS above 800. They've got, double-digit homers. They're, got Jake Berger, who's got 58 RBIs all the way into, he's on track for more than triple-digit RBIs by the end of this year. We have this stuff, but the settling and the rhythm and the morale, that aspect of Mackenzie Gore going up to Skip and going, I want the ball. We need some veterans on our lineup that are going to be doing that a lot more. We've got a little bit of it in Brandon Nimmo, who's, he's having a mediocre season, but that's a big thing that I wanted to see. Corey Seager, he's a star, but you can't build a whole team on a star. You got to build it with some heart. And I see some of it, just little glimmers. And every time I get to see it, every time that it's more than just the players and trying to be tactical, I want the ball. That just keeps going through my head. Is this yes, give me more pitchers and hitters like that. I want to get after it. Then we can send all of these national writers, all these haters back into the cave from whence they all crawled out of. That's what I gotta say.
Well, Nate, trading Corey Seager for an older, maybe more proven players, as you mentioned, would be a little like Notre Dame giving up on an elite long-term piece of the roster with more experienced transfers, and then that maybe, getting them to that championship run. You might lose the player with the highest ceiling, but if it returns and fills several weaknesses, it makes the team better right now. So it's something that they should consider at some point, both of our teams. They kind of have to decide if they're going to build for the future or if they're trying to actually win the whole thing this season. And so you just hope that the coaching can kind of come in and make those decisions, and the leadership of the Rangers can make that decision. But bringing it back completely to the Rangers here, if moving Seager gives them a stronger roster for a postseason run right now, Is that gamble one that you think you would be willing to do if you were in their position?
Ultimately, that's where I have to temper my expectations too, because I know that I'm a super fan, and I know that we tend to be a very reactive bunch. I would say that, hey, half a season of pretty mediocre production, and then last season was okay, but it definitely wasn't top peak Corey Seeger play. I'd say that that's a decent amount of data, but you're absolutely right that especially given how locked in we are in terms of, our branding and all this future of the Texas Rangers, and Chris Young would probably, it'd be like career suicide if he traded Corey Seager, I would say. Given all of that, it probably wouldn't be wise, but even from a pragmatic standpoint, there's every possibility. Corey Seager is not about to retire. He should be coming into his own. This should be his peak. He should be getting better. He should be more consistent and disciplined and stronger and faster. But just a little bit more tempered in terms of his running game. Don't oversell him. He should really be coming into his own slugging wise. And he could still, but if it isn't going to be anybody in the front office or back in the analytics department at the Texas Rangers that are evaluating the offense as a whole, their performance when he's off the field versus on it, well, I'm tracking that. And I'm starting to draw some conclusion. There's still just hypotheses right now, but that's something we have to take a good hard look at, because it's not just the batting average. It's what does he do for the lineup when he's there? Because here's the thing is, back in the World Series run, the other team felt it was an intimidation factor. Here's the thing is, it kind of felt like, especially going up against in 2023, going up against the Diamondbacks, especially after game one and the high drive, it's tied in the ninth inning kind of thing. And Corey Seager ties that. Every single game after that, it felt like the Diamondbacks were kind of like we were the 1980 Soviet Union. It's just we were just a juggernaut. You were not, dude. When you saw Corey Seager step up, you were suddenly not a good pitcher anymore. Suddenly you couldn't field no balls. Suddenly that ball just sailed way further than it ever did before. Suddenly you kept walking people or walking him instead, and then the next guy after. He just had an effect. He had an effect on the lineup, but overall, right now, I don't see that. I see it going the other way, kind of like how Jock Peterson was last season. And if it continues, then all we're doing is eating up too much of our budget for no production at all. So somebody's got to take the cold, hard look, long-term and short-term, to do what's best for the team.
Well, and that's kind of my thinking in that question was, like, sometimes it's hard to make that decision to cut bait early or cut bait actually when you should cut the bait. But there's things, and maybe there is, again, under the presumption there's no contractual things that are actually keeping them there. But if there aren't, you know what I mean? Like, it might be the time, because you guys are in this position where you're at the top of this the conference, and it's like, okay, like, can we propel ourselves? What do we actually need to do to propel ourselves to that run, to get there, to get to the finish line, just to make it? And once you make it, just like what happened in 2023, maybe Rangers fans, we'll see what happens.
Here's where I go with all of it, man. Here's where we stand. Just summing up some of the stuff I did have and some of the stuff I didn't. All of this. So Ranger Nation, if Young and Langford can keep cooking, if we survive Seager's absence and return, and if the cavalry pitching wise, Montgomery, Bradford, Junis, actually shows up in August, we definitely could make a real run here. But if there's any backslide with how overworked our pitching staff is, so many other things, then our division lead is going to collapse well before any reinforcements ever arrive. So first place, worst division in baseball, 17 comeback wins with the 25th ranked offense. I'm not going to look this gift horse in the mouth, but I am absolutely going to keep staring at it. That's all I got, man. That's
as a true loyalist you are, sir. I love it. Well, listen, that's a great updates on Rangers, and cautiously optimistic, but you're not yet down and out and statistically average. We'll see if you get there. All right. Well, to close out on the Notre Dame side, I'm actually pretty optimistic about Notre Dame, as you guys know. Yeah. Which is usually the first step in ruining my own fall. Yes. All right, guys. The roster is young. Okay. It might show at times, but it's not young to the point where we don't obviously have the talent. You have CJ Carr going into year two. He has a full season behind him. The coaching staff knows its quarterback. Marcus Freeman has built a defense that should keep Notre Dame in every game. that matters because young teams can grow up quickly. When the quarterback's steady and the defense, is there and it can prevent you from, obviously you're going to make some mistakes, but if they can kind of hold the team to the standard, then there's going to be some rough moments. But Notre Dame we have a belief because of this defense. So this team, I think, is going to be really good and fit for November towards the end of the season. When you combine the growth from the beginning to the end of the year, I think we're going to see this is a team that you don't want to mess with, and I think they have a real chance of winning it this year. And I'm going to continue to believe that, just as you do with your Rangers, until really they give me a specific reason not to. And so that's sort of where I'm at with this Notre Dame football team. We have some youth, we have some older players. There's a decent mix, but we're going to see what happens with this team in 2026. And will we make that 2027 championship? We'll see.
We'll see. But the
We'll
reality is, no matter what happens, no matter how much we can and will be disappointed now, in the future, whatever, we're going to still keep watching our teams, and we're going to still keep ranting about them on this podcast, man. We're always going to tell all y'all about it. All right.
Absolutely. And listen, for all the Florida Dame people here on the podcast, for all those Texas Ranger loyalists that have been there since the OG beginnings, all those losses, and then in 2023 with the uppers. My name is Connor. That is Nate. And we really thank you guys again for joining in on the Down and Out but Statistically Average podcast. Please like and subscribe, comment below. We'll interact back, and we are looking forward to just continuing this journey, to complain, to cheer, to have all the ups and downs and the lulls with our teams. So thank you guys again for joining, and thank you for watching Down and Out but Statistically Average podcast. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.